sharing with you in this video how to know that what you want is very close. And the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to know that what you want is maybe not as far as you might believe is that you are no longer seeking external validation. So if you're kind of walking through life and you no longer need the external world to be a particular way in order to generate a state from within, ultimately speaking, that's a big sign that what you want is definitely around the corner. And the trickery of it all, so to speak, is that essentially when you can get to the point that you realize that that's actually what you wanted all along, is just to do the thing that you love to do, not necessarily to get the result as a result of doing the thing that you love to do, but just simply doing what you love to do. And then oftentimes the result just comes naturally as just a byproduct of that. And so this whole process is really essentially you creating your own feeling state from within. And oftentimes it's an ironic thing as well, because in order to actually do this, you have to surrender all need to even generate any feeling at all and just sort of be present to the moment. But all of this, if this is happening to you, is a big sign that what you want is probably not as far as you might believe, because oftentimes when we do this, the external world may throw many challenges at you to sort of make you believe that you're not on the right path. But oftentimes it's about over and over and over creating that feeling state from within and understanding that you don't need to look at the external world in order to be validated anymore. It's about you creating that state from within and doing what you believe you have to do and be the way that you believe you have to be in order to feel how you need to feel, to then be confident that you're most likely, not that it's guaranteed, but very most likely going to get the result. The second thing that's showing you that you are in fact most likely going to get what you want very, very soon, and that it's probably closer than you might think, is that you are taking consistent action. That in of itself is a huge sign that you're probably going to create what you want, because that's the big sort of most simple but most powerful and most crucial step that a lot of people just don't take. They can't take it. So they're able to be very motivated and then maybe take a lot of action in a certain area, but they can't take consistent action. So I'm talking about if you're being very, very consistent, possibly, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily going to have to be every single day, whether it's every other day or a weekly schedule or whatever the case is. But if you've just been taking consistent action over a very, very long period of time, that probably means that you're closer than you might think in terms of creating what you want, because that's all it really is. At the end of the day is that, it's actually a lot easier than you might think, I believe, to create something. It's not that hard to create it. You can probably achieve more than you're giving yourself credit for right now in this present moment in terms of just achieving something one time. But the bigger question, and the more important thing in my personal opinion, that a lot of people neglect is, can you maintain it? Because it's very easy for the sort of this unconscious part of us, or you can call it the ego or whatever word you want to use, to just sort of blow up the entire situation and just kind of throw it all away because it believes that maybe something else is more important all of a sudden, or that this is more important. It doesn't like to stay it's not that it doesn't like to, let me rephrase that, but oftentimes can sometimes feel more comfortable or like the easier decision to just let go of everything that you've built and then just throw it all away to blow the whole thing up. But I think that that's a self-sabotaging system of the ego to go back to your past and to go back to what's comfortable. So oftentimes, if you're able to see all of this and see all of these games of the ego sort of playing out, and you can ignore it and take action anyway, consistently, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. If you're actually doing this, then that probably means that what you want is very close. Because again, you can, in my personal opinion, remove a lot of, you can experience, a lot of imposter syndrome, or like feeling like you're not worthy enough, and it's not, you don't feel right doing it, it's not right, and you just take action anyway, and then you feel a lot better and you get over it, and then you start to feel better. And then so oftentimes, if you're seeing this just through consistent action, that means that what you want is probably very close. And then so lastly, the final thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to know that what you want is probably closer than you might believe is that if you actually have no judgment, it's going to sound cliche, but if you have no judgment towards the mistakes that you're making and you're able to just let it go and immediately move on, then you know that what you want is probably closer than you might think, than you might believe, or whatever the case is. Because oftentimes people that are not willing to let go of that judgment that you might have towards making a mistake fast enough, like you might judge yourself for a second, but then if you just let it go, stop judging yourself, no need to judge yourself more than necessary at all, really, don't judge yourself. If you could just let that go, oftentimes it's so much easier to just move on to the next thing and then learn faster, learn from your mistakes faster. But then people are so quick to judge themselves and get into a state of self-judgment and then guilt and then shame, and then it's like a victimhood, and it's like they think, why did I do that? And then it's like they keep beating themselves up, but then it's like oftentimes they could have already moved on and they could have already succeeded in so many ways that are not possible when they believe that they need to keep judging themselves. But if you're actually getting to a point in your life where you realize that, again, it's going to sound cliche, but like things are going to go wrong, mistakes are going to happen, things are not going to go perfectly, but then you can sort of just bounce back quicker. If you can bounce back quicker from negativity and from mistakes, you absolutely know that what you want is probably closer than you might believe, because people that can get hung up on negativity and then get hung up on mistakes and then hung up on challenges and problems and then want everything to be perfect and have this perfectionism ideal, these are the types of people, and that's the type of person that ultimately can't ever create what they want. And even if they create it, they're not going to be able to sustain it. Like I'm telling you right now that this type of person that I'm describing here, that's very, very attached to their mind and their ego and can't have that spaciousness to just be an observer and not attached to all the things that are happening in their life, that they don't have this sort of skill set to just pull back and be spacious. This type of person that's very, very, very non-open-minded, this is the type of person that, again, maybe will get a result, but they can't maintain it. So it's no judgment. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm saying this from a place of I've been there before. I've been in this state. Not to say that I'm so much better now, but definitely more developed, I believe, and more mature consciously and spiritually and even mentally and emotionally in many ways that, ultimately speaking, I was not a long time ago or at different points in my life. So what I would say is that the key to this is to start to notice when we start to spiral and start to get stuck in a state of, we are being a victim, or like we're not worthy enough, and like we can't have what we want and all this type of stuff. But then again, how fast can you bounce back? So I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I'm some person that has transcended all emotions or some ridiculous statement like that. But I will say though that I do my best to just simply bounce back when I feel negativity. And I think that we can all work on this. We can all be better at this. I'm working on this. I think that we can all work on this. We can see that it's okay to actually have judgment sometimes if that's what's happening towards yourself, but let it go as fast as possible. Don't judge yourself for judging yourself. It's okay if it happened, so to speak, but then if you're noticing it, if you're noticing that you're judging yourself, once you notice it, maybe it's time to stop doing that. Maybe you felt a little bit unconscious. Maybe you didn't realize that you were judging yourself. Maybe you didn't realize it, but then now it's time to let it go. Now, that's the solution that I think is going to help us to actually move on. Now, if you're consciously judging yourself, that's something to actually look at and just see, in my personal opinion, that there's not going to be anything that serves you in that situation. And if it is serving you, then I would ask yourself, what are you getting from that? How is it serving you? Because we only do things that are serving us. So I would really investigate, if somebody was to do that, why are they doing it to themselves and what benefit do they believe that they're getting? And then eventually I think that through enough pain and through enough suffering, then we can begin to let go of this and start to bounce back quicker. That's the thing, is that what I'm describing here is a state of victimhood that we should remove from our life as fast as possible. And again, if you're realizing this, that's probably a sign that what you want is probably a lot closer than you might actually believe.